Welcome, everybody, to the Detonated YouTube channel. Did we just lose? That is the question that we're going to try to answer here in this video. Things may have been a little too good to be true, at least over the last couple of weeks following the end of the Black Ops 7 beta. Once again, joining us today is Detonated co-owner and Bombshell co-host, Mr. Fajardi. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm actually, I've shaved. I'm now a baby face. Once again, the past few videos and podcasts, I've had a little bit of scruff going on, but in some unsuspecting news, we got a tweet about the open matchmaking from Treyarch. We're breaking all that down today. A little bit worrying news, but we're going to talk about all the red flag with the wording and what it means for the future of Call of Duty as a whole.
Absolutely. So one thing I want to clarify real quick is that when we all said, quote unquote, no SPMM in Black Ops 7, because that's really what it felt like during the beta once open matchmaking got introduced, what that meant is that we weren't going to be seeing matchmaking, at least going forward, as the default that really heavily considered skill as a factor when placing you into a lobby. And what does that sound like? And what actually is that? That's the classic matchmaking we knew prior to Modern Warfare 2019. The matchmaking prior to MW19 was certainly based on ping, and now ping is supposed to be king again, whereas skill still plays a component, but it wasn't skill-based matchmaking prior to MW19. So to say that we were going to be getting open matchmaking as the default for Black Ops 7 multiplayer beginning at launch, that really excited the entire community and honestly really turned things around as far as community sentiment for the entire Call of Duty franchise. With that being said, though, this is exactly what Treyarch tweeted out of nowhere at around, I want to say 4 p.m. just earlier today.
Thanks to your beta feedback, the majority of Black Ops 7's MP playlist will have open matchmaking, which will be similar to the beta experience where skill is minimally considered. The exception will be one rotating mosh pit at launch where skill will be an important consideration. And ranked play will also use skill as an important consideration when it launches in Season 02. That is the tweet we got today, and this sparked an entire discussion around the wording around it, and a lot of people are starting to feel like Treyarch made a backtrack, or maybe Activision has something involved with this.
And it just felt like we were making real progress for the first time in like 5-6 years. Things were really on the up and up and still are, right? I really hope that we're all just overreacting here, but day one of the beta, people were already saying, well, the game is better than BO6, the maps are awesome, the weapons are fun, but SPMM. So when open matchmaking got introduced, everybody was asking for that to be the default. Treyarch announced that it would be, which blew up the internet, honestly, in the best way possible, on top of persistent lobbies being confirmed, which hopefully are really common inside of Black Ops 7. Plus, they mentioned changes to aim assist and so many other things. The patch notes aren't even out yet. We've made some real progress for the Call of Duty multiplayer community. Let's just hope we don't walk too far back from what we did see in the beta.
I think once the open mosh pit hit inside of the Black Ops 7 beta, that was like the most fun I've had an MP in years. And I think a lot of people resonated with that playlist being more so classic matchmaking as it was described as. And now we're hearing things that's not really reassuring. It just says that it'll be similar, not exactly like, not a, one-to-one. I read that and I'm like, they're gonna mess with it, man. It was perfect. I had such an awesome time. We all did. There was not a single person that was complaining about it. And now we're hearing will be similar to the beta experience. I want the exact beta experience. I think I speak for a large majority of the COD fan base that this needs to be just the permanent sort of matchmaking across the board. And that's what they did say after the beta. And now it seems like they're sort of peeling back the curtain on this and slowly starting to introduce the idea of SPMM back. And and with that starts with the exception of the one rotating mosh pit at launch, where it basically just is the normal matchmaking we had previously since Modern Warfare 2019. And you see a lot of hilarious comments about this. People are like, first playlist to have 0 players. No one's going to play this. No one wants to play this. And people are actually advocating for like, do not play this playlist. And I get it, because open matchmaking needs to be the staple when it comes to Call of Duty matchmaking, because it's become way too strict. So much so that even a big COD fan like myself, I kind of skipped out on the entire year of BO6 because it got way too sweaty. And even you can feel it when you're playing on stream, just trying to do normal challenges or camo grinding. It is just so intense for a video game where you're supposed to just be sort of just chilling back and having a good time.
If during the beta, let's say the open matchmaking only considered skill by like 5% or something, have they now turned that up a notch to like 10 or 15%? only time will tell. I suppose a good test at launch will be to see how fast you can queue into a lobby. Will it be as fast as the beta? And I would also say it's probably best to test this out once the game globally launches, not necessarily just during the New Zealand access where a lot of the sweats are just queuing up into the game. The timing of this is odd because they almost could have waited to announce this with the patch notes, which we assume are coming tomorrow or shortly after. Now, something I'm worried about is that whatever this playlist is will just be put at the very top of the quick play options to where most people end up clicking this by default, which could inflate some numbers, suggesting that a lot of people are jumping into this playlist more so than the other open matchmaking playlists in the game. But I'm curious, right? If this rotating playlist is, let's say, a casual one with bots, or let's say some competitive ranked type mosh pit, which I think Matt Scron's previously teased, then I suppose that playlist makes sense to have some type of skill factored into it more so than the regular playlists do. And in that case, yeah, we'll look back at this and be like, okay, we jumped the gun for sure on this post. Maybe the wording wasn't that great with the tweet, so we all freaked out for absolutely no reason. But like I said, we're a couple of days away from really seeing what this is all about.
Now, a lot of people are saying that a lot of people in the community are overreacting about this, and I think, I think there is some overreaction going on, but I think you have to look at it in this way, that they could just be planting a seed, because it's no secret Infinity Ward's coming around next year with Modern Warfare 4. Everyone knows it, and we know what Infinity Ward likes to do. We saw the SBMM kick up in Modern Warfare 2019, and this is just the tiny little seed being planted back in, slowly introducing it back into the ecosystem of Call of Duty after a lot of people fought so hard for it to be removed. And that could possibly even ruin the perception of Modern Warfare 4 more so for the community than it already is, because obviously a lot of people are upset with Infinity Ward from Modern Warfare 2. But the cherry on top being SBMM is going to be back in its full capacity won't sit well with anybody.
But hopefully this just wasn't a case where Treyarch fought really hard to have open matchmaking, but had to come to some type of compromise, which, like Fajardi said earlier, is planting a seed for the return of old SBMM, whether it's later in this game cycle, whether it's in Modern Warfare 4. Either way, I do believe the devs probably fought really hard for this, and they're probably going to try to make sure that this does remain some type of staple in most playlists for at least the next 6 seasons. Now, as an FYI, after we finished recording this video, it looks like Charlie Intel spoke with an Activision rep who confirmed that open matchmaking in Black Ops 7 will in fact be the same as it was in the beta, with skill minimally being considered within those open playlists. And again, the playlists will be tagged with whether or not they are open or whether they feature closed matchmaking. So that's something that certainly changed this conversation a bit, keeps us a bit more hopeful and optimistic that nothing dramatic did change from the beta to the launch window. And maybe it will just end up being some competitive playlist that has closed matchmaking, which explains why they're going to bring back an old form of SBMM just for that mode alone.